Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some Adventure Spright. We've played quite a bit of Twin this season, and I think we also played U-Bell Spright at the very top of the season. So I wanted to come in with Adventure Spright because a lot of people ask me, whenever I post a Spright video, I always get asked, is this the best Spright variant? And after, well, not after just playing all three of these this season, but in general, I will say this, I definitely lack experience in tri-brigade Spright, which I should have played instead of Adventure Spright. I can't believe I'm just now thinking of that. Maybe I'll still do that at some point this week. Anyway, I lack significant experience in tri-brigade Spright, but tri-brigade Spright, we do pretty consistently see it in Duelist Cup Top 100. So I have to imagine that's one of the better Spright variants. I mean, the real answer is I don't think there's a one best Spright variant. They all have their own pros and cons, right? Like, I remember on my latest Twin Spright build, somebody asked, like, why would you play the Evil Twin stuff in Spright? Like, what does that... I think as if to ask, like, what benefit does that get you? Probably because they're looking at the fact that the Twins Fiend lock you. But the idea is that the live twins themselves are one-card starters for a Spright board plus the twin, and you can play/build your deck in such a way that the Fiend restriction doesn't matter if you're going into like a Nightmare Unicorn or an Underworld Goddess, right? And then you have U-Bell Spright, which I think one of its biggest pros is that it's very flexible. It's, I think, the most flexible variant. There's a lot of different plays you can make with it with a lot of different kinds of hands, right? The Dark Beckoning Beast is a great starter. You have fewer copies of it than the Twins, so the Twins are more consistent. But U-Bell/Fiend Spright has a lot more flexibility. So Adventure Spright, I think this variant, what this one offers is just a more explosive end board. I mean, adding the Omni Negate of the Wandering Griffin Rider is very, very strong, and it's also very easy to do in a deck like this. Now, you might be seeing, like, Speedroid Terratop and Hero Kid in this deck and being like, what kind of a Spright deck is this? Well, Speedroid Terratop is actually an excellent playmaker for Adventure Spright. In fact, Speedroid Terratop is... I think it's a one-card combo? So it'll... No, it's a one-card... It's almost a full one-card combo. Almost a one-card full combo, rather. Terratop will end you on Cherubni plus the Adventure setup. And of course, the Cherubni dumps the Water Enchantress that gets you the Adventure setup. Which you could either leave that on board and keep the Omni Negate, or you could, in theory... Well, you wouldn't have a 2 to bring back with Elf. I was going to say if you linked into Elf. But regardless, the Terratop adds a non-normal summon, by the way. Doesn't take the commitment of your normal summon. Non-normal summon way to get not only into your adventure stuff, but then also into a Link 2. Which, at that point, you could have, like, literally any other monster. I think it could even be the Effect Veiler. You could normal summon Effect Veiler, and then link it off with Cherubni into... Well, you could go into Elf, but you wouldn't be able to make any other plays after that. You know what, if we were on the Nimbles, then it would be full combo. So usually I do play this deck with the Nimble package, but this time we're on Hero Kid instead. There's pros and cons to both. As I literally just mentioned, the Nimbles do let you combo in very niche situations where Hero Kid doesn't necessarily. But Hero Kid is not nearly as bad to open. It doesn't look like it. Like, this definitely reads like a card you only want to either pull off of your deck with out of your deck with a Gigantic, or dump with the Sprint. But I will say that if you open this card and normal summon it, paired with something like a Terratop, or another Spright monster, or your adventure setup, then it's like full combo. And it's really full combo because you can link off the Hero Kid or overlay it as a material, and then later bring it back with Elf, and then you summon your other 2 Hero Kids from deck. So, like, ideally, yeah, you don't open this, you dump it with Sprint, but opening 1 copy of this card is not bad at all. Not bad. I've in the past been a non-believer of Hero Kid. I will say, I was originally a Hero Kid naysayer. I believe that was back when Nimble Beaver was still at 3. Back then, I think you definitely always just played the Nimble engine. But with the Nimble Beaver at 1, it does become a lot less appealing. So now I think Hero Kid is actually just the way to go. What else are we on here? The Melfies. We're playing the little Melfie package here. It's very non-committal. And your extract, you're going to have leftover spots anyway. You could play more rank 2s. You know, like, I really like Onibimaru Soul Sweeper. If I had a spot open for another rank 2, this would be the first one I put in. This card comes up a lot, honestly. I mean, not like a ton. Not any more than anything else we're already playing. But enough that it's like basically extract card number 16 for me. I get asked sometimes about... Actually, what is that card even called? It's the other... Hang on. Xyz 2... It's Sky Cavalry. Of course, now I remember the name. Sky Cavalry Centuria. I've been asked why I don't play this card. Why I play the Shadow Mosquito instead in Spright. Shadow Mosquito is a much better Zeus pilot, in my opinion. Much better. You don't take damage. But more importantly, the Shadow Mosquito actually just opens up OTK lines with its effects. If you have Shadow Mosquito plus 3 other monsters, and your opponent has a monster with at least, I think it's 2,700 attack? 6,700 times 3 is 2,100. Yes, that'd be 8,100. Then that's an OTK. That's actually just an OTK right there. And we have easier ways to OTK. I mean, we have the Gamma Burst. But there are some lines where that does come up. So I think, I mean, again, a lot of the time this is just a Zeus pilot, right? It can't be a straight battle, you don't take damage. It's the perfect thing to run into to then go down to Zeus. But this can also potentially open up OTK lines, which is why I like it better than Centauria. I mean, you know, aside from maybe like Terratop and Hero Kid, which I already touched on, pretty much everything else is what you would expect to see in a deck that's playing both Adventures and Sprites. We're on 45 cards, because we do have quite a few cards we don't want to open, like Takaton Borg, Griffin Rider, Dracoback, Fateful, Gamma Burst, Penny, and again, ideally Hero Kids, but we also don't mind opening exactly one of these, so this is the kind of deck where I don't know if I'd even want it to be at 40 cards, even if I were to trim it down more. There's stuff you could definitely trim, like Nib, Triple Tack, some amount of Veilers, but I want it to be this high of a deck count. I want it to be 45 cards. Because again, we have a lot of stuff we're trying not to draw, so. Alright. That's going to cover the list. I don't think we're going to cover it card by card. You all know Adventure. You all know Spright. This is Adventure and Spright, so. And we've talked about the outliers already. So why don't we go ahead and start looking at this gameplay here. Alright, so our first opponent is going to be on a Melodious Supreme King Panda Magician deck. Which is not that surprising considering how good of an engine Melodious is in general, but also the fact that, like, they're also very Panda-based and are trying to achieve a very similar end board. So, they're going to begin with the Ostinato. Ostinato? I don't know how that's spelled, or pronounced rather. Anyway, we're just going to Ash Boss on that, and hope they don't have too much on the follow-up, but it's a Wings of Light, so I was like, yep, this is going to be just full board of multiple negates. You know, I've often heard it said that the opponent ending on multiple negates and interaction, like, oh, I don't know, Appaloosa, Vortex Dragon, IP Masquerena, I see a lot of people equate that to an FTK. An FTK. Which I don't agree with. An FTK means you always lose on the first turn. But you don't always lose to a board like Appo, Omni Negate, IP. A lot of people will act like it is. They'll try to make that claim, but there are many, many differences. There are many, many instances in which you can play through a board like that. The idea being that if an FTK resolves, you always lose. If this board state resolves, you don't always lose. People will act like you do, But it's not true. It's simply not true. I don't know. This has always been a little bit of a point of contention with me among the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I will admit. I think there's a lot of disingenuous arguing because people don't like playing under certain board states. Of course, playing under multiple negates and interruptions is very stressful. I'm not denying that's the case. But I don't think that, from a power level perspective, something like this is an issue. Right on time, Maxi. Anyway, I'm going to leave by special summoning the Terratop, adding the Takaton Borg, and now special Takaton Borg. After that, we're going to activate the Right of Armistier. The Vortex will negate it, but it's not exactly like I was baiting here. I don't really have another spell or trap card I can play, and my opponent still has the Apo for the monster negate. So what I'm going to do here is normal summon Hero Kid, use their IP Masquerena, and I'll do that in order to make the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World here. They can certainly Apo if they would like. Appaloosa does not target, so that means that the effect will not be negated here. Now I have an Underworld Goddess that cannot be negated. Their Vortex Dragon is going to be negated. And yeah, we're good to go. So I'll set Call By and pass over to our opponent here, who's going to start off with a Pend Summon. Because that was the first action of the turn, I did not have a chance to... Well, I could have maxed draw or standby phase, which I probably should have just done, given that they had a fully set up Pend scale. But also, by doing it after they Pendulum Summon, because, like, it doesn't really show in the replay, right? Right, but during the actual game itself, after I resolved the Maxi, my opponent sat and thought for about, like, 30, 45 seconds, and I don't blame them for doing that. That's a pretty big decision point, to either try to keep going and out my board at the cost of giving me draws, or to stop and hope I don't top deck into anything. Our opponent has ultimately elected to go into the SP Little Knight here. We're going to find a Spright Blue from our top deck. And I think they played that well. I think going into an SP was worth giving me one draw here. But that one draw was pretty important. I'm going to grab a starter off the draw for turn here, top of the deck. Going to go for the Spright Blue off that. They're going to SP here, trying to make me not have a level 2 monster on the field. But yeah, I do just have the other blue in hand, which I can normal summon. Gonna go Jet for Gamma Burst. Now I can link off the Jet and Blue for Spright Elf. Spright Elf's gonna activate, and look who's coming back. It's Hero Kid. Hero Kid gets to finally activate some of the other 2 copies from deck. And I'm gonna move to battle, because the Hero Kids in conjunction with the Gamma Burst are actually gonna be enough to OTK our opponent here. So it is very fun that we get to finish our opponent with, like, the 3 Hero Kids attacking directly. That is quite fun. You don't get to do that a whole lot, but cool stuff. Alright, there is our first game there. Playing through a board which, again, many people would consider unable to be played through. And I know that it was circumstantial based on what was in my hand, but again, a resolved FCK, there's no circumstance or nuance. You just lose. But multiple negates and disruptions is not an FTK. You don't just lose, there is nuance a lot of the time when playing through it. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our next game. This next duel is going to be up against Naturia Runick. I haven't run into this deck in forever. So let's see how this game against them pans out. We are going to be taking the first turn this time. And got a very solid opening hand here. Going to activate the Right of Armistier to start. Specialing the token. And I decided to activate Fateful Adventure here. My thought process was that I didn't want to normal summon Spright, but I should have just normal summoned a Spright Blue, because I'm going to have to end up doing that in order to make plays anyway. Well, and the thing that I wasn't considering, I mean, I should have done this anyway, but also I could have special Takaton Borg while the Griffin Rider is up. That is an interaction that comes up sometimes. So, yeah, because if I had normal summoned Spright Blue, I could have added the equip spell, then Fateful Adventure effects, then the equip spell, add Griffin Rider, special Takaton Borg, and then go into, like, Elf, and then Spright plays with the adventure stuff set up. Yeah, that was a huge misplay on my part, because the way I do it, I give up my adventure board to make the Spright plays, but I did not have to do that. Yeah, no, that was a huge misplay on my part. I totally forgot about Takaton Borg. only needing a wind monster, not a speedroid specifically on board to special summon itself. Alright, so here we're going to go blue and jet into the gigantic. Putting all these cards under the elf, just in case they have a Veiler or an Imperm they were toggling off for. And Hero Kid coming out of the deck off of gigantic this time. Gonna overlay 2 of them to go into Melfi of the Forest, which we can then activate detaching in order to add the Melfi Caddy. So we have that set up for the end phase. I'm gonna link my Griffin Rider and Gigantic to go into the IP Masquerena. And now I have leftover materials enough to make an SP Little Knight as well. So now I'm free to go into the Avramax off IP during their turn and have it both it and Little Knight. Get to starter for Carrot, special Caddy during the end phase. We have Ash Blossom, we have Imperm. So even though we could have had a better end board, we still had a pretty nice board. And this is exactly what I was talking about with Adventure Spright. The pro of this variant being that it can make more explosive boards more easily. As opposed to being less consistent than like U-Bell and Twin Spright. Alright, Freezing Curses on Carrot. I'm going to let Resolve here. Not concerned about the Fountain, because of course we have the Ash Blossom, so... yeah, this Hugin does nothing. And the Fountain, I will Ash Blossom. I had to give up on going for Melfi Caddy in order to do that, but that's not a big deal. That's completely fine with me. And yeah, our opponent's simply going to set a card and then pass on over to us. So we'll draw for turn here. The Rite of Armistier is an interesting top deck. But I'm just going to overlay the IP and the Caddy, my 2 weakest monsters, into Gigantic. Going to attempt to try to OTK here. Freezing Curses, but we put the Gigantic under the Elf, so... oh yeah, I chained the Elf here. Which is a little weird, because like now my Gigantic doesn't actually get to summon anything, but it's really not that big of a deal either. Alright, they're going to try to use the Fountain effect, but I'm going to go for a Carrot. I should have sacked the Jet here. Yeah, I definitely should have. Because of the Hugin effect. I didn't need to negate and destroy. But they're just going to concede here anyway. I mean, I think I had lethal on board anyway, so it didn't really end up mattering. Okay, we got one more game to show off. Let's finish off with that one. And for our final game, we're up against just a pure Melodious deck. Although they're on, like... Upstart Goblin and One Day of Peace. One Day of Peace in particular I think is a little bit weird, but I guess it could be worse. That's also probably just my single least favorite card in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's still legal right now, is One Day of Peace. I absolutely despise that card. Alright, here we've got Starter plus Penny. Not a lot, but it's enough to combo with. I'm going to Starter for Blue, Blue for Jet, Jet for Starter. Then we are going to overlay the Jet and the Blue for the Gigantic. I should have gone for Sprind. I should have gone for Hero Kid. What was I thinking? Oh my gosh. I guess I just wanted to get... no, but I don't even get the negates online. Wow, I botched this one. Why didn't I go for Sprind deck? I must have just not been thinking about it, honestly. I only played these games yesterday, so I'm trying to remember what my mindset was. Oh, you know what? I was okay, because I'm showing these replays in, like, reverse chronological order. So the first one that we watched was the most recent of the ones I saved. This was my first game playing this variant. And I remember after setting up Elf IP, thinking to myself, well, what I just said here was like, wait, why didn't I Sprint? Why didn't I Special Hero Kid? I could have done all of that and had a much stronger board. But, oops, whatever. I will say, despite throwing really hard here and missing out on multiple disruption, our board's actually still not that bad. We have Elf IP. They're going to go for the Feather Duster here. I'm going to chain Starter, but then I can just chain the Call By to the Maxi they chained with. And now the Duster doesn't matter at all. I can also Elf for Carrot. And I'm about to have Elf, IP, Carrot, Red, Veiler, Ash Blossom. That's 4 negates plus IP. Not a bad spot at all to be in. again, I think this is more than anything a testament to just how badly I misplay. No, well, it is, but it's more than anything a testament to just how explosive the Adventure Spright Dex boards are. That you can throw super hard, miss out on multiple bodies, and still end on more disruption than cards that your opponent has in hand. Oh my goodness. Again, they had 4 cards in hand at the time that we had Elf, or, well, Elf, but that wasn't really a factor. But more importantly, the IP, Red, Carrot, and then Valor and Ash Blossom. So that's 5 disrupts to our opponent's 4 cards in hand. That's absolutely insane. So yeah, when they went for the first solo, I'm like, yeah, that's not an Ostinato. That's 100% fine. That can resolve. And yeah, they don't really have any other follow-up there. So that's just going to be the win for us pretty easily. Again, in spite of our play. Not because of, in spite of, but anyway. That's going to do it for this video. Thanks as always for watching. Let's just go ahead now and move to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.